All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Partridge. I am a secondary consultant for technology with the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board. We're going to wait 1 or 2 more minutes to allow other attendees to enter into the room. And as you can see, this discussion is about soft tech or computer technologies versus hard tech, which is more machine operated. So we'll start in maybe less than a minute there. All right. Well, it's 7:22, so we'll get started so that you can get as much as you can out of this little session. Again, this is about soft technology, so that would be anything that's going to be classes in a computer lab or using computer technologies and computer engineering. So I'm going to go through 3 different area for technologies. So we're just going to move on to here. As you can see here, when you're doing your course selections, you're going to see a number of different course codes. And I'm going to talk to you about TG courses. So that's technology and graphics, or G level courses. And then I'm going to also talk about TE courses, and those are more around technology and engineering. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about ICS, which are computer science or computer coding courses. Again, my name is Michael Partridge, and I'm the secondary consultant. Normally, I'm a teacher in the classroom, but I'm on loan centrally for the next couple of years. So the first kind of technology courses that I'd like to talk about are communications based, and those are you're gonna find those as TGJ courses. In most of our high schools, there will be ComTech, so communications tech, and sometimes you'll find them as digital arts courses. So sometimes mixed in with photography, sometimes mixed in with video work and animation. And then in some high schools, you'll also see them under other course codes that relate to media arts. That all depends on a little bit of what kind of equipment is in the room, what kind of labs are in the school, and what kind of staff are qualified to teach the various courses. So in this first kind of technology course, or soft tech, it's much more about doing digital artwork, being creative, and telling stories visually through either still images like photography, or video images, or animation, moving graphics, etc. Okay, the course codes that you'll see there, most schools will have a TIJ course, so that's a grade 9. When you see a TIJ 10, so you know that the 1 indicates grade 9. And in most schools, there'll be that TIJ that kind of touches on the various technologies in the building. It's going to look a little different from school to school. At one high school, it might be that there is tech design and comtech with some manufacturing. And then in another school, if they have a different tech setup, they might have or offer comtech, manufacturing, and auto body. So it depends what kinds of facilities exist in the schools. You'll see that comtech, or communications tech, there's normally a grade 10 course that has no prerequisites, so you can start it in grade 10. And then there's a grade 11 and grade 12. By the end of when you go to get into grade 12 communications tech, you must have taken the grade 11. So you'll see there that there is a prerequisite. Okay, I'll show you a few examples later of what kind of tech this is. So it's about expressing yourself. It's about being creative and working with computers, cameras, audio equipment, etc., like that. The second kind of soft tech that are offered in all of our high schools are TE courses, so TEJ, and the title for that is computer technology. It also includes some networking, engineering type things, robotics in some schools, again, depending on the teacher's specialization. So TE courses, again, they can start with the TIJ, which is that exploring tech. And then you'll see them in TEJ 20, and then a 3M, and then a 4M. Again, to take the 4M, you must take the 3M. Some of the things that you'll do in there, you'll be working with circuits, you'll be working with breadboards, plugging things in, making servo motors work, maybe doing some 3D printing, doing some coding, doing some robotics is also possible. Okay, so it's a bit more on the physical and networking and computer than it is creative. The third type of soft tech that we have in our schools is a whole other curriculum. It's not a technology curriculum, it's a computer studies curriculum. And you'll probably experience that computer studies or computer sciences is more math based, it's more logic based. And this is where the pathway leads towards computer sciences at either college or university levels. So these are again done in computer labs in our schools, and they only start in grade 10. There is a new curriculum that's just being polished for starting pretty much in September there. So that's going to be called an ICD 20. So that's Computer Studies grade 10. And then grade 11 and 12 are called ICS 3U and 4U in most of our schools. There are not many of our schools that have a ICS 3C or 3 or 4C. Those are more geared towards workforce or college only. So most of our computer sciences is leading towards the 3M or the 3U and 4U. You can read a little bit about what kinds of things you do there. Programming, troubleshooting, doing all the debugging, doing the logic. You work in teams to program new apps and things like that. Okay. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to bring you to two different websites in case you wanted to go and find the course descriptions and curriculum descriptions yourself. What you can do is you can search up, whoops, let me go backwards there. You can search up Ontario curriculum. And then if you look at the technological education curriculum, it's going to go like this. I'll just bring you over to it. Just be a second. All right. And on this page here is where you get to take a look at the course descriptions. So there's Exploring Technologies, TIJ, and then it goes through all of the different courses. TGJ, so that's ComTech, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, and it has a little description there for you. If we keep going through, I'll just go to the next one. So here they are here, computer technology. So that's the TEJ courses, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. And then if you're interested in the, hang on, get my screen back up to size. Nope. So if you're interested in the computer sciences or computer studies, then what you would do is get over to that curriculum. Just be a second. Okay, and then in the computer studies curriculum, you'll see that it starts with a grade 10 ICD 20, then moves to an ICS 3, and then 4. And you have your descriptions there. So I'll come on back over to here. It is 7:30. It's a quick overview of soft tech in our buildings. So what I'm going to do now is just open up to any questions. If you have any thing that I can answer right here, right now, you can type it into the chat message and I can answer it live for you. Or if you'd like, what you can do is obviously talk to your school's guidance counselor and find out what soft tech options exist in your future school. If there are no questions, then what I might do is bring you and show you a few things. We have, 3 more minutes. So what I'll do is I'll just bring you to another slide deck that's going to show you some of student art. Just be a second. All right, so in ComTech, the kinds of things that they do are photography, learn about different components of photography, different aspects, how to use digital cameras, composition, and then a lot of Photoshop work. So these are all student pieces that are done in communications technology. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat there. The other type of artwork that is done in ComTech is vector-based artwork. So that means art that is done with lines that is infinitely scalable. So you can zoom right in, you can change all the different aspects of the artwork. And again, these are all student examples done from scratch. Audio, video, you're going to have different schools are going to have different setups. This one here has a sound booth for recording voiceovers, etc., music recording. Lots of video work that's done using Adobe product, Premiere Pro, After Effects.
Timeline panel is active. Go ahead and press the spacebar to preview.
And then the last type of artwork that is done is animation and new media. Learn about doing different types of squash and stretch and different types of animation components. Okay, so I'm going to bounce back over here. Again, are there any questions in the chat? The only other thing that I would do is maybe show you around what a classroom might look like in your buildings. So I'm going to bring you to one of our schools and show you a ComTech room. This is a tech design room. Some of the equipment, just be a second. I clicked on the wrong button. There we are. Okay, so a ComTech room will look like this. There'll be computers for doing a lot of that artwork on. We've recently invested in all of our high schools having excellent desktop computers with high-end graphics cards ready to do some really neat creative stuff. So there'll be lots of things with lighting and cameras, etc. Computer sciences or computer engineering. Here's an example where they do some testing, some breadboarding, those kinds of things. Okay, so I'm going to bounce out of here, head on back over to the slideshow. And if there are no questions, it is 7:35. Happy to entertain any questions, but I don't see any typing in there. So basically, your next session starts at 7:40. So I'll invite you to leave this chat or leave this room and head on over to another session that might interest you. Hope all goes well. And if you have any questions about soft tech or computer tech in your schools, again, talk to your guidance counselors. All right. Have a good evening. All right. Good evening, everyone. We will get started in just a moment, allowing for a couple extra people to join our room. As you can see, this next 15 minutes is about soft tech. So looking at computer lab based courses that are using computers. Okay, so we'll get started. My name is Michael Partridge. I am a consultant for the secondary panel for the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board. I help out with all sorts of things technological in our high schools. This presentation is about soft tech, so about computer lab-based learning, and what does that look like in Ontario and in particular in our schools here in the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board. So the three types of soft tech or computer-based technology courses that we offer. Number one, TG courses or digital arts. They're creative arts using technologies, using cameras and computers and tablets, etc., to create digital artwork. TE courses, so those are technological education courses in computer technologies, so like networking, robotics, computer engineering. Those are the technology courses for TE. And then thirdly, ICS courses are computer studies or computer science courses. So these are the three types of computer courses that happen in our computer labs in all of our high schools. I'll go through them right now a little bit more. So as you can see, communications technology is all about messaging. It's all about creating. It's about convincing your audience. It can also be found in high schools using digital arts courses. So it might be included in a photography course or in a yearbook course. And I might also find it in your course selections as media arts, depending on the school. TG courses, TGJ for Comtech. Most high schools will have a grade 9 version of technological education, and it will kind of be composed of whatever pathways exist in a school. So where in one school it might be Comtech, tech design, and manufacturing, because that's the kind of equipment and the kind of staff they have. Another school, there might be automotive or masonry or green industries plus computer technologies. What happens is that it then specializes in grade 10, where you can do a TGJ 2.0, then to grade 11 for the 3M, and grade 12 for the 4M. In order to take the grade 12, you must take the grade 11. So you plan out your school courses per year. In these courses, these TG courses, you create using video, photography, animation. You do things with audio production, multimedia design, etc. So it's all about being creative. The second kinds of technology courses using computers in our schools are called computer technology, and they're TEJ courses. You'll often also see things in the titles like computer engineering, robotics, or computer networking. Those are TEJ. So as you can see, they're not quite the same creative aspect, but they're more technical. The kinds of things that you'll do in here are working with breadboards and circuits, servo motors, sensors, 3D printers. You'll code, you'll build little robots or build little games, things like that. Again, in the schools, you'll see that there's normally a TIJ course, which is an exploration of all technologies. And then later it leads to a 2.0, a 3M, and a 4M. Okay. The third type of computer lab courses is called computer studies, and it's a different curriculum altogether. It's a little bit more logic and a little bit more math based. And these courses are in another kind of course code. They start with I, and they're ICD 20, ICS 3U, and ICS 4U. You'll note that there's no grade 9 version of these courses. They start in grade 10. Okay. For all of these specialized courses, you cannot take the grade 12 without taking the grade 11. It is a prerequisite. In computer sciences, you'll do things like develop software projects, you'll do a lot of coding, you'll do troubleshooting and working in teams to code apps or projects, and learn a little bit about obviously the security and ethical issues that go around with social medias and coding, etc. Okay, these courses lead to computer engineering, computer sciences in post-secondary. All right, so if you want more information about these 3 different types of computer-based learning, TG courses for creative arts, TE courses for technologies, networking, a bit of coding, and then ICS courses, which are going to be computer sciences, coding, and programming. So if you want any more information about that, I'd invite you to do a quick search for Ontario curriculum. And if you just look up technological education in Ontario, you'll see that it'll bring you to a website that looks like this. And you'll have the course curriculums there for you to read through to see if it's of interest. Starts with Exploring Tech, grade 9. TGJ, so that's ComTech grade 10, ComTech grade 11, and 12 with the 4M. The other ones, you'll see, here we are, TEJ courses. They're called Computer Technologies, and you'll see there the explanations. For ICS courses, it's a different curriculum, like I said. So look up Ontario Curriculum Computer Sciences or Computer Studies, and that's where you'll find the descriptions for ICD 20, Digital Technology and Innovation in a Changing World. It's a grade 10 course. And then Introduction to Computer Sciences is the grade 11, and the grade 12 is, again, called Computer Sciences. Okay. I'm going to flip back to this page here. There you are. I welcome anyone to, if you have any questions that you'd like to type into the chat, I can answer them for you here. You can also obviously speak with your guidance counselors and your grade 7 and 8 teachers at your school. And take a look at your school websites, whichever school you're going to see what kinds of pathways they offer in technologies. All of these 3 types of courses are run in computer labs that are nicely invested. Now they have some very good hardware and are running well in our school board. It ends at 7:55, so I have 5 more minutes. I'm gonna show you a couple of things, um, just some visuals. Again, if there's any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat. So I'm gonna bring you over and show you a few student works, student pieces. These ones are from Comtech, so digital arts, photography, digital imaging. We use Adobe product. So people who sign up for these courses will have access to Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects. We talk a little bit about different parts of photography, composition, rules that make up good photography. A lot of work in composition, Photoshop. Okay, so that's image-based artwork. We also do illustration-based artwork. So these are pieces that are done in vector art, vector graphics, so drawn shapes. These are all student pieces, again. All of the Comtech courses will have either motion graphics, video, and or audio included in their coursework. So in this case here, there's a sound booth for recording music and or video editing, sound voiceovers, etc. All right, and then in the last section for Comtech, we'll explore animation. So then these would be examples of student animation as they learn about squash and stretch and different concepts of animation. Last thing to show you, what would it look like if you were in a computer science or computer studies area? So this is a classroom that has a workspace for breadboarding, circuit making. A Comtech room might look like this in your building. Computers for doing those digital editing, digital creations. And then there's almost always going to be lights, backdrops, photo spaces. All right. So, oh, I didn't show you any of those. If there are no questions, we're almost at 7:55, and so you're able to move on to your next session if you like and get set up. And that next session will start at 8 o'clock. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to jot them in the chat there. All right. I wish you a really good evening and good luck with your choices and selections for next year. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Partridge. I am a consultant with the school board. I am normally a high school technology teacher, except that I'm working centrally now, and I'll be presenting soft tech or computer lab based learning in our high schools. And it'll look different depending on which school you're at, but for the most part, there are three kinds of computer lab learning courses that exist. And so I'll go through those with you tonight. So the three types of computer lab courses are going to be technological courses and computer science courses. The first grouping is called TG, and that is for communications technology, digital arts, media arts types courses. The second type of course is called technological education in computer studies and or computer engineering. So those are the TE courses. And then the third kinds of learning in labs are ICS courses, and those are computer science or computer studies courses that are much more around coding and programming. So I'll go through a couple of different types of things that you'll be learning in these courses. The first category, TGJ, so those are communication, digital arts, media arts. They're creative courses where you're using computers and cameras and peripherals to create digital messaging, influencing your viewer. The kinds of things that you'll do in here are things like video editing, image capture, photography. You'll be creating animations, doing maybe some audio production and some motion graphic production. So that would be things like video editing, working in Premiere Pro or working in After Effects on graphics, etc. All of our T courses, technological education courses, in our schools start with an exploring tech in grade 9, and you'll see that in your course offerings. It's called TIJ10, and that is an exploring tech course. It's going to look a little different depending on your school, depending on what kinds of pathways exist at your school. So at one school where there's an auto body shop, then it will include TTJ. If you're going to have only a school that has Comtech and manufacturing, then your exploring tech will look a little different. For Comtech, these TG courses, there's oftentimes a grade 10 course, TGJ 20, and then there'll be a 3M and a 4M. Understand that you need to have done the 11 before you can do the 12. It is a prerequisite because there's lots of learning that happens there. Okay, so these are creative courses doing creative digital art. The next category of computer-based learning are called computer technology courses. They are TEJ courses. And you'll do things like robotics, breadboarding. You'll do things like small networking using sensors. You'll do some coding, either for having robots move or virtual robots or doing some coding for games, those kinds of things. Again, I'll draw your attention to the TIJ 10. So in all of our schools, you're going to have that exploring tech option. So you get to see if you like the technology courses. And then it moves into TEJ 20, 3M, or 4M for the most part. Some schools will be heavy into robotics. Some schools will be heavy into networking. Depends on the specialization of the teacher, but they do all cover this kind of networking kind of technological education. The third kind of computer lab learning is called computer studies. And it might be something more that you imagine, right? This is computer sciences. This is about coding. It's about programming. It's about building apps. It's about doing more logic and mathematics and troubleshooting, working in teams, learning different coding languages, whether it's Java or C++. It will depend a little bit on your teacher also, but these are the courses here. So you'll probably see an ICD 20. That's the new course code for computer sciences. And then it goes to an ICS 3U and an ICS 4U. Again, you can't take the grade 12 course unless you take the grade 11 course. So start thinking about what you want to do in those years of high school. All right. So I've gone over a little bit about those three types of computer learning in our labs. And if you want more information, what you should do is you should go to the Ministry of Ontario, Ministry of Education in Ontario, look for their curriculums. The first one to take a look at is Technological Education, grades 9 to 12. That's where you're going to see the descriptions for TGJ courses, digital arts, TEJ courses that are more related to computer engineering, computer technologies. And then the last one, computer studies, that's a separate curriculum. So I'll show you what those websites look like. The first one looks like this for computer. We'll start with the TGJs. Just be a second. So the TIJ, and then it goes to TGJ, so ComTech. And you can read the descriptions. And then it moves towards computer engineering technologies. The second curriculum that you would take a look at is the computer sciences or computer studies, ICD 20, 3U, 4U. So you'd take a look at those. Okay. I'm going to jump back to here. All right, it's 8:08. I still have a number of minutes, so I'm going to show you a few visual examples of student work so that you see what kinds of things people are doing in these courses. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put them into the chat. I can answer some of those questions here while I show you some student work. Either that, or of course, you can ask your teachers and you can ask your guidance counselors at your schools, your future high school, what kinds of pathways, what kinds of computer courses are available in your schools, because it does vary from school to school. So I'm going to bring you over to another slide deck here that has some student work in it. Just be a second, get up to the top of it. So in ComTech or digital arts, you're going to see different things like this, where you're working in photography, setting up the shots, setting up the lighting, looking about the different components of good photography, working with Adobe product in all of our ComTech and digital arts courses. So you'll have access to Photoshop, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Illustrator. So these are industry standard software that we would supply with for these courses. Okay, so these are ComTech TGJ courses that had to do with image editing. We also do vector-based artwork, creating shapes, combining shapes for various purposes. Your school will have video, audio equipment. In this case here, it's a sound booth for doing voiceovers and recordings and things like that. Video editing is a big part of it. Some schools have their own media stations also for announcements, etc. The last section that people would work in is animation and new media. So 3D graphics and animation like this. Those are some examples of ComTech related artwork. Okay. So the only other thing that I'm going to show is what your classrooms might look like, what the labs might look like. So I'm going to move over into a little virtual tour. All right, and so we'll visit a ComTech room to start. Sorry, that's a tech design room. Just be a second. ComTech room looks like this in some schools, right? It'll depend on which school. So a lot of computer work done at the workstations, but then you'll also have things like lighting, backdrops, photo booths, things like that to work in. Right, so you'll see various lighting setups, green screens, teleprompters, things like that. So that's TGJ, ComTech or Digital Arts. If we move into a computer studies room, so that would be like TEJ courses, you'll see that it's a little bit more technical. So there's going to be a learning space. Then there'll be lab space for the coding, robotics, sensors, breadboarding, all of that. If I go and show you another back corner of that room, right? So testing of circuits, you can see the breadboards there. All right, what else? This room here is a TEJ course. Again, there's a 3D printer, different components and sensors for network work, doing work with networks, those kinds of things. And I'll show you two other rooms before I let you go. This one here is a ComTech room again. You can see that there is lighting on the ceilings. You're working on the computers for various purposes. And then back rooms for either recording, sound, editing, stuff like that. Last room would be a typical computer science room. Because so much time is spent on the screen encoding and programming, there's not as much equipment, but there are good desktops ready for use. All right. If there are any questions, please drop them into the chat there. I'm going to bring you out to the slide deck again. And I'm going to welcome you to move to your last session, if you like. Again, the 3 kinds of computer learning that we do are TGJ courses for computer arts, TEJ courses for like engineering, and for ICS courses that are computer science programming. Okay, hope this helped. Good luck with your choices, and have a great year next year. All right, good evening, everyone. Last session of the evening. You're joining me here to learn a little bit about soft tech or computer-based learning in our schools and what it might look like. My name is Michael Partridge. I am an ICT consultant for the school board. I work with the secondary panel on all things technological. So we'll get started. Soft tech or computer-based learning in our schools comes in three different forms. The first one is a creative area called digital arts, communication technology. The second area is computer studies, and it is a TE course. And then the third type of computer-based learning are ICS courses, and they are computer sciences, computer programming courses. So I'm going to go through those three different types and share with you a little bit about what goes on there. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A area or the chat area, and I'll do my best to answer them right here. You can put them in anytime. The first types of courses that you'll see in your course selection will be TGJ courses, and these are communications technology courses. In some schools, they might put them as digital arts or media arts, but basically TGJ courses are creative digital arts courses. All right, so you'll be doing things like taking photos, editing photos, doing image edits using Adobe Photoshop. You'll be creating illustrations using Adobe Illustrator, video production, things like Premiere Pro or After Effects for doing different graphics works and motion graphics. There's also the ability to do like I said, animation and or audio production and video production. Okay, so this is a very creative area where you're expressing yourself and communicating with your audience using a whole wide variety of digital tools. The course pathway that you would find in almost all of our schools is that you would try out a technology in grade 9 using a TIJ10, and it's called Exploring Technology. It's going to look a little different depending on your school, because some schools have an auto shop, some schools have manufacturing, some schools have tech design and comtech and woodwork and construction, right? So depending on your school, your exploring tech might look a little different from school to school. When it comes to TGJ courses, these are the things you'll be doing, and this is the pathway. In most schools, there'll be a TGJ 20, so for grade 10, a 3M, and a 4M. You won't be able to take the grade 12 course unless you take the prerequisite grade 11. Okay, so you must take that to get to the grade 12 course. So that's creative arts, creative digital arts. And those are done in computer labs with all sorts of different types of equipment, cameras and lights and recording equipment, etc. Okay. The second category of soft tech or computer-based learning is computer technologies. You're going to find those in your course codes with the TEJ course code. Sometimes the title will indicate that it's computer engineering or robotics or networking. So this is a little bit more hands-on in terms of not being the creative side of digital arts, but the actual physical networking side of computer studies. All right, so the types of things that you would do in a TEJ course You're working with circuits, sensors, servo motors, things like that. You might be working with 3D printing or CNC machine. You might take a look at coding and building different little games, things like that, using the various technologies that are in the room. So I have a question in the Q&A that's just asking what kind of computers and computer software. So in Comtech, we supply all of our students and staff with Adobe product. So they're using Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, etc. When it comes to TEJ courses, you'll be working mostly with Autodesk software, and that's going from Tinkercad to Fusion 360 or to AutoCAD. So those are the kinds of things that you'll be working with. When it comes to networking and so on, many of our schools will be using Arduino. All right, and then so many of our schools will, like some of our schools will cut some of the boards and then use like a laser cutter to create different arms and stuff like that, and then they attach the servo motors and use Arduino, the brain, to do the programming and have the little robotics do their thing. So that's TEJ courses. I'm going to get back on track. The third type of computer learning in our schools is called computer studies, and computer studies is more like what you would think about computer sciences. All right, so it's less physical type of equipment, more keyboard based and screen based. So these are courses where you'll be doing a lot of logic, a lot of learning about programming and coding. Most of our teachers will work with in Java and C++. They'll have a bunch of different environments. Some are online, some are installed software on the desktops. And I'll show you around before you go today, and I'll show you some of the classrooms, what they look like. Okay, but for computer sciences, basically it starts in grade 10 only. There's no grade 9, but in grade 10, it's going to be called an ICD 20. And then after that, you have the ICS 3U and ICS 4U courses. Okay. Again, much like the other courses, you have to take the grade 11 in order to take the grade 12. Okay. So that's the third kind of computer lab learning that happens in our schools. If you're interested in having a quick look at the actual curriculums, then what you can do is you can just do a quick search, Ontario Ministry of Education curriculum, and the first two, TGJ and TEJ, they're going to be found in the technological education curriculum. It looks a little like this. I'll just bring you over to this. Be a second. Right. So once you get to the website, you're going to see the various course codes. TIJ, Exploring Tech, grade 9. TGJ, so that's Communications Tech, what it looks like in grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. And then you can also find the same idea for TEJ courses, computer technology courses, and networking, engineering. The ICS courses are a different curriculum altogether. So you would do the same thing. You search up a Ministry of Education curriculum and then look for computer studies. And then you'll see the description of the ICD 20. It's a new course starting just last year. And then you have ICS 3U and 4U in the most of our schools. It'll describe what do you do there. Okay. All right. So it's 8:30 now. There's only 5 minutes left. If you have any other questions, put them into the Q&A. Um, I will be able to put a link to this presentation. I'll be able to get that link to the person who asked for it in the Q&A. I can send that to you directly. Okay. So before I go, I'll send you the link to this presentation. All right, with 2 minutes left to go, what I'd like to do is I just bring you to a couple of student examples, student work, and then we'll finish up with that. Excellent. So I have two individuals that would like the presentation. No problem. I'll send that to you. So the first group of student work that I'd like to show you is from digital arts, so TGJ courses. So in TGJ, you do a number of things to do with photography, image editing, Photoshop work, these kinds of things. And then there'll also be a vector-based or illustration-based work that you'll do. And these are infinitely scalable graphics that can be put super small or super big up onto a wall. Some examples. There's going to be different types of equipment in the schools for audio and video production. So in this case here, there's a sound booth for doing voiceovers, etc. Some schools have their own in-house announcements that they do. And then in TGJ, they also do animation and new media development. Okay. What do the classrooms look like? So the last two things that I just show you around, I'm just going to bring you to a couple of different classrooms. They all look differently in our schools, right? But here is, for example, a Comtech room. So TGJ, you have the computers, photo booth areas, lighting, those kinds of things. Okay. TEJ courses look a little different. The rooms look a little different. So here you'll have the networking and breadboarding. You might have robotics type stuff and 3D printers, things like that. So this would be an example of a TEJ course lab. This one here is another Comtech lab. Again, you can see the lighting and the computer editing areas. Compared to an ICS lab, so computer sciences, they don't have the same peripherals, but they do have excellent computers, and there's a lot of whiteboarding and troubleshooting, team building of codes that they do there. Whoops, I didn't show that last one. So the rooms look a little different in ICS, but their primary focus is coding and programming. Okay, so we're pretty much done for tonight. The two individuals that I'll just type in the link to the slide deck there for you. Everyone else, I wish you a really good evening. They're going to wrap up with some closing remarks. And I wish you luck in figuring out what you want to take next year and throughout high school. All right. Wish you all the best. All right. Have a good evening, everyone.